We bring on-the-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Every day our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN.
Welcome to yet another exciting edition of Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. On this edition of the program, multiple medalist sports in Cameroon. Coming in from tennis, Draper beats defending champion at the season championship. In football, finalists emerged for the President's Cup here in Nigeria. Details of these and many more will be yours when we return from the break.
Telling him not to counterpunch. Telling him not to counterpunch.
Welcome back, Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network, and Kingsley Manuel is here.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me here. Very happy to be here.
As usual, we'll get started from the local scene, and athletics is spot on because the multiple African Games gold medalist with the women's 4x100 meters relay team, Patience Okono George, is confident that Nigerian quartet can qualify for the Paris 2024 Olympic Games at this year's African Championship due Cameroon.
Yes, I think it's a very good confidence, from Patient Okono George. We saw what happened at the national trials down here in Benin City. Of course, Patient Okono George didn't actually put up a very impressive performance. I think she came second in the 400 meters, relay. We saw Esther Joseph, coming up top in that one, putting up an upset against Esther Joseph, against Patient Okono George and Imabong. And so forth. So for me, I think it's a good way, of course, to motivate herself as well as the other ladies that will be participating in this one. We understand that Esther Joseph herself and the Mojo, will also participate, in this particular one. So we hope for the best, for them this time around, and we'll just look forward to see them replicating the performance, especially for Esther Joseph. The performance they had down here in Nigeria, down there at Cameroon. I think it will be a good way for them to get down to the Olympics.
Well, the Senior African Championship gets underway today in Cameroon, and top Nigerian athletes will feature in this event. Toby Amusan and the likes are all geared up.
Yeah, Toby Amusan, Favor Philly, Esebrume, and Tommy Tokbe Adeshina. You talk about Choma Wilkere, one of the best when it has to do with this course through down here in Nigeria. They will all be in this one. You can't forget, the male as well, Favor Ashe, one of the fastest man, of course, we have in the country. Chidi Okeze and the rest of them. These are, top athletes, we have in the country. And we should be hoping for the best, from them this time around. We saw the progress, they had down here in Nigeria in Benin City, where, Toby Emotion, Jean Holy Grab, her fourth national title down there. Also saw Favor Ashe, in the I think the 200 meters event, and as well the likes of Favor Philly. She also put up a very impressive performance, at the national trials. I think we shouldn't be afraid at all. When you take a look at the way the athletes they've performed so far, you take a look at their personal best time, I think all of them have all improved, and that is a huge statement of intent that, there is a lot, to look out for in this particular championship in Cameroon for Nigeria.
The 4x400 quartet didn't get their the ticket, so to say, to the Olympics in Bahamas a couple of weeks ago. Do you see them taking this last chance with just a few days to the Olympic Games? This is the last chance. There will be no other trials ahead of the Olympic Games.
This is the last trial, for Team Nigeria, and this is the last route, for them to take down to the Olympics. And I think they don't want to leave any stone unturned, looking at the fact that, this is the only opportunity they have, to go down to the Olympics, to represent Nigeria. But for me, I'm very confident of the team. When you take a look at the way they've performed, I never expected Esther Joseph, of course, to be able to upstage the likes of Precious Okon George, Imabon Soko in the trials down here in Nigeria. So I think if we're able to see, young stars like that coming up to take up the center stage, we should be confident. I think for what happened down here, the likes of Precious Okon George will be able to, learn and see how she can better her performance this time around. Even the likes of, Omolara as well. These are athletes that we expect, to showcase themselves. So I'm really confident that, they can possibly do this one down there in Cameroon.
Look out for Nigerian athletes in Cameroon, the Senior African Championship, Athletics Championship, the last route, so to say, to the Olympic Games. And I'm very sure that the 4x400 meters quartet will not want to miss this opportunity. They missed it in Bahamas, and now they just have to seize this one and punch their ticket to the Olympic Games. Now, continuing looking at the preparation of athletes around the world towards the Olympic Games, Russian cyclist Alexander Vlasov has declined to take part in the Olympic Games in Paris due to his very busy calendar. This is the biggest sporting event in the world. Athletes do everything to attend. This 28-year-old Russian is saying that he is very busy.
I think his reason is best known to him, at this point,
Maybe because the Russian flag won't be at, he won't be representing himself, he will be,
the
at the Olympic
flag.
Games. Yes.
Maybe, but his comment to say that he's very busy, that he won't be able to participate, to understand what has really happened between Russia and Ukraine, over time. I think most of the athletes, are not happy that they won't be representing the country, of course, with their flag. They will only represent the country, being as neutral. And as we take a look at it, sometimes some of them might actually feel that it doesn't give any glory, either to them, to the country, which, they actually come from, and probably might opt, of course, not to participate in this particular one. But the Olympic is so big. It's so big of an event that, as an athlete, you want to be there at least to get yourself represented.
It comes once in 4 years.
Yeah, it comes once in 4 years. So for me, if he's actually looking at that direction, I think for me, is actually very wrong. Coming up with an excuse that he's very busy. We understand that he's a very good, cyclist, for the Russian. He won the 2022 tour of the Romedin and came fourth the 2021 Giro d'Italia as well. So he's a very good, cyclist that could possibly give Russia a very good representation. But opting out at this point, coming up with an excuse that is very busy at this point, I think for me is a setback, for himself and as well, for Russia. Though they won't be participating using the Russian flag, but the fact that he's not going to be representing himself, in this one, I think for me it will be a setback for Russia when it has to do with the cycling events.
But looking at the latest list of neutrals that was released by the International Olympic Committee, we have about 12 or is it 11 Russians on the list. He may not be going, Vaslov will not be going, but other Russians will still be competing at the Olympic Games as neutrals, not under the flag of Russia.
Yes, and for me, I think they vastly want to shade off or take off what has really happened between them and Russia and decides to go there to compete. I think they understand what it means, to participate in the Olympic Games. It means a whole lot, for them, and not about, the country. You understand that all the glory will not go down to the country. Talking about Russia, if they eventually, come top, in this particular one. And for me, we should look out for the fact that, some of these athletes, they are not the reason why the war between Russia and Ukraine, of course, is ongoing. And the organizer should see how to maybe cut them some slack and see how they can put them under, because sometimes they do not feel that very much confidence or even being happy competing without their flags. And you see these ones already on ground. They're just trying as much as can to, go there to the Olympics and represent themselves. So for me, I think the organizer should look at it and look at the fact that some of these athletes are not reason for the war between both countries. And if you take a look at it, most of them do not even support what is going on between Russia and Ukraine. So for me, I think the organizer should cut them some slack and see how they can give them that 100% representation at the Olympics.
Difficult, but the rules are the rules, and the International Olympic Committee definitely do not have consideration for some special athletes, so to say. The rules are the rules, they follow it. If you're competing, if you're from Russia, you definitely will have to compete as a neutral, or you stay off the Olympic Games for yet another 4 years, hoping that the impasse between Russia and Ukraine will have eased off in the next 4 years. Meanwhile, we have to go now to table tennis, and talking about table tennis reminds me that the World Table Tennis Championship, Contender Championship, is ongoing in Lagos, and Effiong Edem is in the casualty.
Yeah, Effiong Edem, not a very good outing for her. She was taken out by all compatriots, talking about Fatima Bello, and it was really an intense encounter.
3-2 ended?
Yeah, 3-2 was really a very stiff one. Fatima Bello, of course, was
first round,
and Fatima Bello was able to showcase herself, and for me, it was a very impressive outing for her. I think for Effiong Edem, she should really step up. I think she's not been that, very fantastic. So far we've seen her play, and take a look at the ranking. She's not, even top 100. You take a look at where she is now in the ranking. So for me, I think she should step up again. But good one for Fatima Bello. No Aruna Quadri in this one. We hope she can be able to go all the way, maybe see how she can get down to the finals of this one. But we understand it's going to be very, very difficult for her, looking at the fact that we have, players all the way from India, China, and the rest of them. It's going to be a very stiff one. But if she can build on this momentum, I think she has a very long way to go this time around.
Effiong Edem defeated by Fatima Bello. Fatima Bello looking like the new star in female table tennis here in Nigeria. We have Germans and Chinese and other nationals involved in this World Table Tennis Championship taking place in Lagos. Kingsley, how exciting are the matches?
Yeah, it's been an impressive one for other countries. German player, talking about Dmitry Ocharov, the #1 seed, faced a tough, challenge from South Korea, Kim Mino, and emerged victorious in that one. Ended in a 3-0 win, of course, for the German man, talking about Dimitrov. And not only the Germans as well, the Indians are also in this one. We saw the Indian legend Sherrit Achata had a successful, start, in the competition, got past, Godwin Alabi of Ghana, 3-0 as well. So it's been an impressive outing between the Germans as well and the Indians in this particular edition, and we're looking forward to see more of the action from the second round down to the third round of the competition.
First round of the World Table Tennis Championship ongoing in Lagos is done, and there's been a major casualty. Effiong Edem is a casualty well known so far at the competition that enters into the second round. $80,000 is at stake in this one. Quite a lot, Kingsley.
Quite a lot, a very huge amount, a very huge, pool money that will be grabbed, at the end of for the day. And we're looking forward to see probably maybe a Nigerian, Fatima Bello, still on ground. Can she go all the way, to grab something in this particular one? I will just look forward to see it. But we understand that the Chinese, the Indians as well, and the Germans, they are looking very favorite, for this one. But I think anything can happen. If Effiong Edem can possibly go all the way, to get this one, it will be a very huge one. The last time, the championship was held in Lagos, no Nigerian actually got, to the semi-final stage. It was so embarrassing. We didn't see Aruna Quadri in that one. Fatima Bello, Effiong Edem, and the rest, didn't go far. But if you can possibly have a Nigerian heading down to the final, it will mean a whole lot, you know, in grabbing this huge amount of money. This is the second time the championship is being held in Lagos, and we should be able to capitalize on it, knowing that it is on our ground, and we should have that advantage going, you know, all the way to get this. So we'll just hope for the best for the lady remaining, talking about Fatima Bello.
If it's table tennis and you don't have Haruna Quadri, then it looks the slim you are seeing in Nigeria in the final. Haruna Quadri for the second time is not part of the World Table Tennis Championship in Lagos, and our hopes are definitely on the females. They'll see how they can get better. But like we heard there, we've never got into the semi-final at the last time we did host, and it looks a little bit bleak, but who says? We see how Fatima Bello when ADM has fluttered. And that's the most we can take from that table tennis championship in Lagos, but across. The Queen's Championship is taking the center stage in England ahead of the Wimbledon. Jack Draper says winning his first ATP title will set him free for negativity over the period ahead of the Wimbledon Championship. We've seen a lot of these stars, Carlos Alcaraz, you know, and Draper, of course, you know, him to be British, and he's carried their hope over a period of time. But defeating defending champion Alcaraz in this second round is quite a feat for the young Englishman.
Yeah, for me, I think for me, it's a visual. It's the biggest win of his career. Yeah. You know, in this particular one. I think for me, it's a good one from Draper. Represents the British. He's the British number one player now at this point. And I think for me, he's having a very good representation for himself. You know, being the number one British
straight set win, 7-6, 7-6-3.
I never saw that coming at all. I never saw that coming against a high-flying Carlos Alcaraz, who just won the French Open. You know, coming down, you know, to this particular one.
World number 2.
World number 2 in that and I think for Draper, it actually been ranked, you know, 34th, you know, when it has to do with the ranking at this point. Still coming up the ranking, and Austin out Carlos Alcaraz on the competition. I think for me, it was a very huge, you know, victory for him. I will hope maybe he can maintain this momentum, you know, going forward, you know, in the competition. For Carlos Alcaraz, this is one thing we normally talk about. You don't go up today and come down tomorrow. You have to maintain high level of consistency, and that's what takes you, you know, to the top. If he's looking forward to challenge for the world number 1 position once again, he has to be on his A game. We saw an impressive performance at the French Open, and now the Queen's Championship, which is he's the defending champion, is being also that, you know, by, you know, Draper at this point in time. That is not a very good performance for me, and I think for me, consistency is needed at the moment for Carlos Alcaraz.
Carlos Alcaraz is a Spanish whiskey, the man who has gotten 3 Grand Slams, and now looking suspect ahead of a championship which he won last year. But let's see. Maybe he's taking some rest. We saw him in multiple 5 sets in the Wimbledon at the French Open. And maybe he's trying to conserve some energy ahead of the big one, which is the Wimbledon coming up in a few days from now. But we saw American 5th seed Tommy Paul in the will be in the quarterfinal today, Kingsley. Tommy Paul, another, let's say, young player that is firing hot and cold.
Yeah, Tommy Paul, another player that is firing hot and cold at this point. Quarterfinal, you know, stage for him, I think is a good one. Taking a look at how far he struggled over time, and I think this is, you know, a very huge leap for him. If he can be able to challenge Jack Draper, who is flying at the moment, I think that means a whole lot for him at this point. But I'm seeing Jack Draper, you know, looking at the fact that he's actually shouldering the burden of the British players, you know, being the number 1 man. He wants to have a better representation. For me, I think Tommy Paul should just, you know, step up and see how he can put up that upset. Anything can happen. Nobody saw Jack Draper, Austin Carlos Alcaraz, you know, from this one. Nobody saw that coming. So I think upsets are bound to happen. And if Tommy Paul takes up that, I think he can definitely put up the upset on the day.
Away from the Queen's Championship ongoing in England, let's see what's happening in Switzerland, because world number 1 Yannick Sinner reached the quarterfinals of the Yale Open with a hard-fought victory over Fabian Morozan of Hungary. Italy's Sinner, of course, needed 3 sets to win, 6-7, 6-3, 6-2, you know, in Germany.
Yeah, and you see a little bit of a struggle down there for him. He lost the first set, but was able to bounce back in the second and the third set in that particular encounter. And I think for me, Sinner has not been, his game has not been that very rosy. Then you take a look at his performance at the French Open. he is having a little bit of struggle now, you know, at classic opponents. And for me, I think he should really watch it and see how he could put up, you know, his game right from the season. This season, he's been very fantastic. But getting down to the French Open, we didn't see the best, that sparkling performance, you know, from Yannick Sinner, and struggling against Fabian Marozan. I think for me, is not the kind of player we should see the world #1, Yannick Sinner, struggling with. So for me, I think he should really step up his game, or else if he continues like this, it might not be rosy for him going forward in the competition.
Matteo Berrettini, another Italian in the race, but he seemed to had a torrid time at last Sunday's Stuttgart Open in Germany, where he fell 3-6, 6-4, 6-3 to Marcos Giron.
Matteo Berrettini been ups and downs, you know, for him, and I think representing Italy has not been. He has not done the best of representation, just like we've seen from Yannick Sinner. The man has been ups and downs. When you expect him, of course, to live up to expectation, you see him dropping, being beaten by American Marcos Giron. I think that's the kind of player he should be able to all-stout, but we saw him dropping down there. And for me, not a very good one for the man, Matteo Berrettini.
It's not only the male that are in action ahead of the Wimbledon champion herself, Marketa Vondrousova, has suffered an injury scar less than a fortnight before her title defense in England. This is not good at all for Marketa.
Not a very good one for Marketa Vondrousova. We understand, you know, how she's struggled, you know, so far, and this season she has not been the best. Don't forget, she's the defending champion of the French Open at the Wimbledon, I beg your pardon, and she has to be on a very good game. And you know, having injury at this point in time, not a very good one, you know, for her. But we hope that she can be able to bounce back from this injury and see how she can compete, you know, at this point in time. It promises to be an interesting Wimbledon championship where we'll see the very best, you know, competing in this one. We understand that some players have been given wild card to participate, and that will make it more interesting. The likes of Onjoboa, I beg your pardon, the likes of Naomi Osaka, and the likes of Emma Raducanu, Angelique Kerber, Caroline Wozniacki, they've all been given wild card to participate. Iga Swiatek, Aryna Sabalenka, Coco Gauff, all will be there, and you have to be on your A game to see how you can defend the title you won last time. So we'll hope and pray for a quick recovery for Marketa before the Wimbledon. Defending
champion at the Wimbledon looking suspect. They are attending the next game, which is just about 2 weeks or so from now. But we wish her very quick, just the quickest of recovery ahead of the Wimbledon. You remember her last year as an unseeded player, came from apparently the Blues to winning, and I'm very sure one lady that will not forget that defeat or just say that event is Onjoboa from Tunisia, Africa. Her third Grand Slam final where she lost again.
It was very disappointing, very disappointing. I was so emotional on that very day. We saw her and her husband, of course, on the courts on that day, you know, shedding tears. I think that final actually means a lot to Onjoboa. It's very disappointing that you've gotten to third Grand Slam final and you still lost all of them. So it was very disappointing. But ever since then, she's been trying to build on her confidence, you know, going down to tournaments. It has not been easy with her. We understand that a lot of pressure is on Onjoboa at this point in time. But we hope she's able to shake up the pressure and see how she can be able to fight all through. We understand how competitive the WTA is at this point. You have to really be on your A game. You have to be at your best for you to get to any finals. So for me, we just hope that she will shake off the pressure and, of course, put her game right.
Talking about shaking off pressure, is that exactly what Aryna Sabalenka needs because she has Russia's Alyanskaya to contend with, because a victory over Daria Kaskina 6-1, 6-4 looks easy, but yet another Russian opponent could be very stumbling.
Yeah, it could be very stumbling, and we'll look forward, you know, to see how, you know, she'll be able to pan out, she'll be able to play down there. We understand, you talk about pressure earlier, and we understand how the pressure has been on her. I think Iga Swiatek has been a very strong opponent on her way. We saw what you know, she did to her in the Madrid Open, even in the Italian Open. Getting down to the French Open as well was another tough time for Aryna Sabalenka. We understand the pressure surrounding her, and we hope she's able to shake it off as well and see how she can get my game right heading down to the Wimbledon.
Wimbledon with top players. We've seen that getting shaped at Berlin. 8 of the world's top 10 are competing in that tournament, with only top-ranked Iga Swiatek and world number 7 not being part of it, Poloni not being part of the Berlin Championship. We wish them the very best of luck. And one name that looks very prominent of recent is Coco Gauff. She's taking out Russia Ekaterina Alexandrova 7-6, 6-4. Would this 20-year-old make her official debut at the Olympic Games in the next few days?
Of course, everyone is expecting to see Coco Gauff, representing the United States of America, of course, in the Olympics. We understand how things has been for her. So I think at the French Open final, where she was actually being hosted out by the very world number one, Iga Swiatek, was quite, an emotional one for her, getting down to that stage and being hosted out, I think it means a whole lot for her. She would have wanted, of course, to have won that one, but Iga Swiatek was very good on the day against Coco Gauff. And we look forward to see what she'll be able to put up, at the Olympic Games. Everyone is expecting her to grow and see how she can challenge. We understand we've seen other Americans, putting up a very impressive performance, and her role model, talking about Serena Williams, did so well, and everyone is expecting her to also maybe gain that same momentum and be able to, be very fantastic on her game, just like we saw with Serena Williams. But we just hope for the best. 20 years of age, I think she still has time, and she has age by her side. We look forward to see how far she will go.
Enough of tennis. Of course, we told you Wimbledon is in view, in focus in just a few days from now. But for us here, I would like to take a break, and when we return from a break, we'll bring you some exciting stories coming from the world of Formula One. And in football, finalists have emerged for the President's Federation Cup here in Nigeria. Just as the European Championship continues to send in, raking results that definitely are exciting across the 10 cities in Germany. When we return from a break, we'll catch up on all of these and many more.
Telling him not to counterpunch. Telling him not to counterpunch.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused.
Telling him not to counterpunch.
Welcome back. Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. We tell you how Nigerians are preparing for the Senior African Championship in athletics in Cameroon that gets underway. And we equally told you about how exciting tennis championship are training up earnest preparation for the Wimbledon, which is just about 2 weeks away from now. Now let's get to the latest happening around the world of Formula One. McLaren's Lando Norris says the hope of catching up with Max Verstappen in the World of Championship this year have grown in recent races. Kisley, is he dreaming? He's won one or two, but Max Verstappen, no doubt, is the driver to catch up in Formula One.
It's going to be very difficult. When you take a look at it, it looks as if the man has no error at all. Talking about Max Verstappen, it's going all the way. Take a look at his driver's standing points now. He's on 138. Why Norris? Why Charles Leclerc is second down there with 131, at this point in time. So it's going to be very difficult, of course, for Norris, to come up. Norris is third now with 131 points, while Charles Leclerc is second behind Max Verstappen with 138. Max Verstappen is standing, driver standing now is 194. So Norris being third is going to be very, very difficult, because when you take a look at the Red Bull car now, it looks blameless. It has no issue at all. I think the man will really go all the way in getting this one once again. Since 2022, Max Verstappen has been on his A game, and for what we're seeing, it's going to be very difficult for anyone, of course, to take it away from him. We'll just have to see if the likes of Charles Leclerc and Norris, of course, will be able to compete. It will take a whole lot, for them to be able to upstage Max Verstappen in that driver standing. But you never can tell. We still have a couple of races remaining for the season, and if they can possibly capitalize on them, I think they can go all the way. But if you take a look at it, it will be a very, very tall mountain for them to climb.
Do you think Ferrari and Norris have hope because they were won at recent championship in Miami?
Yes, like I mentioned, they have hope. Like take a look at Charles Leclerc, the Ferrari driver, is second in the driver standing with 138 points, and Norris is third in the driver standing with 131 points. But Max Verstappen is way, way away from them. He's fourth with 194 points. So it's going to be very, very difficult. And like I mentioned, if they have to upstage Max Verstappen, they have to maintain high level of consistency in the remaining race of the season. Except that it will be difficult, for them to take down Max Verstappen.
Max Verstappen, no doubt the leader of Formula One in the last 3 years or so, is shown the quality at winning different races. And I'm not too sure that Norris, yes, he did win at Miami, but he will catch up with him in the rest of the races left for this season. Let's stay away from Formula One now and go to football. And we'll start from the local scene here, where there's continuous joy for Beyond Limits FC after they were appreciated by the owner of the club side, who just gained promotion into the Premier League.
It was a very massive one from the owner, talking about Kunle Tsunami. I think he's one of the richest private owner of a team in the Nigerian Premier or in Nigerian football down here. Kunle Tsunami has done a lot. He's the owner of Remo Stars, and Remo Stars, I think they've been properly managed. The last 2 seasons, they've made continental sports in the Nigerian Premier Football League. We've not seen them the players complain of the fact that they are being owed salaries, and all of that. They have a very top-notch, preparation for the season, and top-notch performance as well, as it stands. And this time, they are seated second in the Nigerian Premier Football League, sitting in a very comfortable position to represent the country in the CAF Champions League. And I think for me, it's been a very impressive high level of management of Remo Stars. And now we're seeing Beyond Limits, seen from the same owner, Kunle Tsunami, and now they've been promoted. And we'll be seeing them as well competing in the Nigerian Premier Football League. I think Kunle Tsunami should be studied and know how he's doing all of this in terms of managing his team. We're seeing how other privately owned teams are struggling. The likes of Sporting Lagos, the likes of Doma United, they're all struggling in the Nigerian Premier Football League. But like Kunle Tsunami, his teams have been very, very different. And for me, it was a very good job. We understand that the players were given 10 million naira, of course, to share. And that was, of course, a very huge one for him. He also did about 2.5 billion to the management of the team and 1.5 billion to the supporters club. was a very huge one for me. I think what a way to motivate the players and as well as the coaches ahead of the Nigerian Premier Football League next season.
The media department of the team, but equally they wasn't left out in the largest. They had as much as 1.5 million naira as well.
Yeah, I think that's a very huge one, and I think they will be going home smiling. You know, it's always good when you reward the team like this. I think it actually give them that high level of motivation to do more. The coaches will of course want to put in their best come next season. The players will also want to put in their best as well. The media department also want to put their best. And talking about media department, you take a look at the way the Beyond Limit media department, I think they've been very top-notch. They update you on the recent, the main issue of the team, and then even the likes of Remo Stars as well. Their media department is also very strong, and this is what we need in the Nigerian Premier Football League. If you take a look at some MPFL teams, most of their website or probably their social media handles, you don't tend to see the latest about the team. Those social media handles are just being reluctant. You don't get the latest update about the team and all of that. But you take a look at Remo Stars and then Beyond Limits, you understand the fact that the media department are really working. And now everyone is talking about Beyond Limits. Everyone is talking about Remo Stars. That's the power of the media. And I think we must give kudos to the media department for both sides.
1.5 million naira for their effort over the last season, so to say. Now let's get to the biggest football story ongoing right now in Nigeria, and it has to be the emergence of two teams for the final of this year's President's Federation Cup. Commonly, this is the Challenge Cup we used to know in the past. It's now called the President's Federation Cup final. It will take place for the very first time in Abuja, and Abia Warriors will take on Academy in the very final. The first two teams to play in the final of the oldest competition in Abuja. That match comes up tomorrow, Kingsley. Abia Warriors with John Obu and Academy Warriors in, do I say, a match that promises to be very exciting. One of these teams will be going to the continent.
Yeah, one of these teams will be going to the continent. Talking about Abia Warriors and Academy Warriors, is the battle of the Warriors. And when we've seen this kind of game, you understand how intense it is. And we're looking forward to see what comes up. I think we must give kudos to John Obu, the chairman of Abia Warriors. Since he took over leadership, I think we've seen some impressive changes in Abia Warriors. Still, they didn't actually finish in a comfortable position. When I mean comfortable position, finishing maybe in the top 4 or top 5. But we've seen, and they've actually tried to see how they can achieve something for themselves. This time around, getting to the finals of the Federation Cup is a huge achievement, and this time facing Academy Warriors, one team that will know that have been in the Nigerian Premier Football League before. It's going to be a very difficult one, but for the fact that they defeated Kano Pillars, that's more. That was a penalty. Yeah, penalty shootout, and it's a huge statement of intent for them in the final. For Academy Warriors, they defeated Kebbi United. I don't think Kebbi, has what it takes. So I think Abia Warriors on the advantage on this one when it has to do with form and the level of performance so far. So eventually they might be getting down, to the continent if they get this one at the end of the day.
Check out who is the coach of Kano Pillars.
Yeah, the coach of
Yaro.
Yeah, Yaro, Ahmed Gaba Yaro. I think not a very bad one so far, but we expected Kano Pillars, of course, to maybe have gone far, especially in the league, and as well as maybe getting this one. That would have been a very huge one as well, for them. But unfortunately, they didn't get things done and dusted, and at this point, they were making the continental sport. They started very well, putting up some impressive performance this season, but all of a sudden, they dropped. We must give it to the coach of Abia Warriors as well, Betel Oji, who has also been very, very fantastic, when it has to do with the level of management, in the team, his tactics as well. I think he has done a lot. We do hope to see Abia Warriors, of course, getting down to the continent, and that will that will actually mean us seeing two teams from the east. If Enyimba eventually make it down to the continent as well, two teams from the east will be going down to the CAF championship, and we'll see how far they'll be able to perform.
FA Cup final, Federation Cup final, President's Cup final in Abuja tomorrow, and Academy Warriors will take on Abia Warriors, a war of warriors, so to say. These two teams, Kingsley, qualified to the final via penalty kicks.
That to tell you how intense the game, the semi-final games, were. Academy Warriors getting past Kebbi United through penalty, and as well Abia Warriors getting past, through Canopilas through penalty as well. So for me, it was really, really an intense encounter. The teams, they wanted to get down to the final. I think for me, the penalty, somehow you can attribute it as a game of luck, and Abia Warriors were so fortunate, Academy Warriors were also fortunate, and that's why they are in the final. It's really going to be an intense final, talking about the Federation Cup this time.
It's not only the female that are expected to play the final of this year's Federation Cup, the male. The female too will be in action, but they are yet to have finalists for the final. We understand the finalists will emerge by Sunday.
Yeah, the finalists will emerge by Sunday, and we're going to be seeing what will be coming up in that. We understand that Rivers Angels, of course, they are also in the final. Delta Queens are also in the final, and Remo Star Ladies are also in the semi-finals as well. Nigeria is not also left out. So it's going to be an impressive one, and look forward to see how far these teams will be able to go. Rivers Angels, I think they've taken it upon themselves, and under coach Ogbonna White, to see how they can possibly get this one done and dusted. They miss out from securing the Champions League in the women competition, but that is by winning the Super 6. They couldn't win the Super 6, so they couldn't get that championship, Champions League, sports in the continent. And for me, this will mean a whole lot for them to go all the way. For Remo Star Ladies, they've been having a fairy tale run in this one, and I think for me, if they can possibly go to get this one, it will be a very huge one for the owner, talking about Kolde Tsunami as well. Nigeria too still on the mix. Delta Queens as well, also looking very favorite. It's really going to be an intense semi-final clash, and we look forward to see which of the side will come out top in this one.
Intense final expected for the females, but let's see which of these teams will qualify for the final. Meanwhile, ahead of the final match day of the Nigerian Premier League, the fans of Enyimba International, we understand, will have to watch the game for free. This is coming from the People's Elephant Camp. Enyimba International will be a place to be on Sunday when they take on their opponents.
Yeah, it will be a place to be, and that match really means a lot for Enyimba Football Club. If they don't get a win, they might not be securing a continental ticket. Plateau United also need a win to secure a continental ticket. I think that's why the chairman, Kanu Wankwo, is throwing the gates open to make sure that the fans, of course, come in and cheer up the team, for victory. It is a must win for Enyimba Football Club. I think that's why they're making everything possible to see how they can get that win ahead of Plateau United. So I would just hope for the best for Enyimba. It would be so embarrassing that as big as they are, they didn't secure, the continental ticket after winning the league, last time. We'll just see how this strategy, of course, will help them, get the continental ticket this time.
Fingers crossed. Sunday will be a place to be. Enyimba International Stadium, you can watch the match for free, but it's all a bit to see how they can support the team to qualify for the continent at the end of the season. Final day match features. Definitely we'll take a look at most of the features on our program, Sports Extraordinary, that comes at 6 p.m. Nigerian time. Meanwhile, the president of the Nigerian Football Federation, Alhaji Ibrahim Guzo, only yesterday said the federation is dedicated to ensuring that beach soccer, also known as the Super Sand Eagles, have their prize of place. They receive the same level of attention the Super Eagles and the other national teams receive. It doesn't come to true that the beach soccer side is treated the way we've seen of the Super Eagles and maybe the Super Falcons.
For me, I think it doesn't. That's not the case. That's not the case. We should be frank to ourselves. We should be very open and honest. The beach soccer team has not received the same attention being given to the Super Eagles of Nigeria. I don't think, and that's why we see some of the players, actually opting out, from playing for the beach soccer side. I know a very good player who was a very good beach soccer player. I talked about Adu Aziz. He was a very good beach soccer player, but he left due to the level of attention being paid to beach soccer down here in Nigeria. I think he's playing for one team, outside Nigeria at the moment. So for me, I don't think the NFF president is very honest with that particular opinion that the beach soccer has been given much attention, just like the Super Eagles of Nigeria. If you take a look at it over time, the beach soccer team, they've actually brought some honor, to the country. I recall that the team, of course, brought honor to the country various time in the past, and I think if you take a look at the 2007 Beach Soccer African Cup of Nations and the 2009 edition of it. We saw them coming up with at least silver medals as well. So for me, I don't think the NFF, they paid much attention to the beach soccer side. The NFF president Gusau should look into that and see how they can at least put equal attention to some of these teams.
The beach soccer side have not been entered into international competition in recent times, and we hope that this will change with the support of the Football Federation here in Nigeria. I'm talking about supporting the Super Eagles of Nigeria and of course the beach soccer side. We understand that the Super Eagles of Nigeria have dropped as many as 8 places in the latest FIFA ranking. Kingsley, I'm very shocked if Finley George will be not happy.
Of course, he won't be happy. How will he be happy? We were ranked,
Others watch the Super Eagles drop 8 places.
8 places was so bad. We were ranked, I think, 30th. You know, after the performance in the African Cup of Nations, we went up to like 30th position in the FIFA rank, and now 8 places, 38, down. So it was a very poor outing, especially in the 2 games we played, and as well as the friendly also being counted as well. Wasn't a very good outing for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and for me, it all boils down to how the team has been managed. We understand letting Pesero go, a lot of issue came in. They brought in Finidi George. Another abysmal performance as well for the side. So for me, and it was really, really embarrassing. Having a country like Benin Republic defeating Nigeria, that of course you don't expect to grow, in the ranking as well. So for me, it was a very, very disappointing outing in the last 4 games for the Super Eagles, and that's why we've seen this level of ranking for the team.
Morocco remains the #1 team in Africa.
Of course, they still maintain the #1 team. Taking a look at the performance, they had, in the FIFA World Cup, I think that's what has actually kept them, down there. And we saw them in the African Cup of Nations in Abidjan. We understand they didn't go far, but we're being able, of course, to push themselves. I think that performance at the World Cup and the way they've been able to maintain their level of play has given them that position. And we look forward to see how far they'll be able to maintain. And that's all. I understand some other African countries are stepping up, the likes of Senegal. Senegal has not been the best, for some time. And you talk about, Cote d'Ivoire as well. They're also stepping up. But now the African countries are stepping up. And I think there will be more competition in African football going forward.
Hope that will be the case. We want to see intense rivalry between these African teams, Meanwhile, we'll go across to Europe now. And talking about Europe reminds me that Euro Championship is lighting up cities. Yesterday, we saw some interesting fixtures. The biggest of it all was the encounter between Italy and Spain. The Spaniards had a completely different idea from the Azuris of Italy. At the end of 90 minutes plus added time, it was Spain that defeated the former champions by 1-0.
Yeah, 1-0. And if you take a look at the Spanish side, I think they've done well for themselves so far in this competition. They're the second side that have made it to the round of 16, after Germany.
With 2 wins.
Yeah, with 2 wins, after Germany. We saw how they were able to crush, Croatia, in the first encounter, and now being able, of course, to get another victory for them. I understand how intense this one was. It was actually, through an own goal that they got that, 3 points, in this one. But I think the Spanish team, they are very much, intact and compacted, in this particular one. And if you take a look at their level of play, and you will see that, of course, they stand favorites, for this one. Because other big teams are just struggling. The likes of Croatia, the likes of England, you talk about, other top teams, they're just struggling. But Spain has been able to distinguish themselves. And for me, with this level of performance, you want to tag them as one of the favorites for the championship.
Well, Spain, no doubt, showing class the same way Germany has done. They've qualified for the second round of the ongoing Euro Championship. You talked about England. They played at a 1-1 draw with Denmark. It looks like the English wasted a lot of chances in that encounter.
Wasted a lot of chances, and for me, I think I don't know what is happening. The coach of the side, Gareth Southgate, if he's been confused because of the arrays of squad, he has in that team. We have top players, in that side, and for him to be able to make up changes at some point, selection on the very particular match day has been probably a headache, for the man Gareth Southgate. So it's been a struggle for England. In the first game, they struggled, to win Serbia by just 1-0, and now struggling against Denmark as well. Not the kind of performance you expect, from England, in this particular one. And for me now, they stand on the verge of also qualifying for the round of 16. You take a look at the squad the team boasts of. They shouldn't be struggling, at this stage of the competition. But we'll just hope for the best for them in their last game and see how far they'll be able to go in the competition.
Slovenia and of course their opponents played out. Serbia played out a 1-1 draw as well last night. Tonight we'll have interesting fixture. While we have Poland take on Austria in the first game, it will be a cracker between the Dutch and France. France, are we expecting to see a mask of Kylian Mbappe?
Of course, yes. I understand he had a broken nose in the first game, and I actually saw the marks. Of course, they actually recommended for him. It's marks are being designed by with the French national flag. And I think for me, this is the first time we're going to be seeing Kylian Mbappe wearing a mask. I think the same thing that happened to Victor Osimhen is the same problem he has. But we hope that he'll be able to play with the marks, of course, on his face. It might be a little bit comfortable for the man, but we understand what Mbappe can do anytime, any day. And looking forward to the game tonight. I think it's going to be another interesting encounter. France had a very impressive performance in their first game. And for me, I don't think this encounter will be a very tough one for them. I see them going all the way and getting the victory.
Well, our fingers crossed. We'll keep watch on that one, 8 p.m. Nigerian time. We'll have to begin to wrap up the show now, Kingsley. And preparations are in top gear for teams to play in the Premier League next season. And one of them is Leicester City. They now have a new coach. Cooper is their new coach.
Cooper is the new coach, and for me, I don't think it's not a bad one, not a bad decision. We saw how Cooper was able to help Nottingham Forest, survive. Steve Cooper was able to help Nottingham Forest survive relegation in the Premier League last season, and for me, I think is a good one. I know Enzo Maresca leaving, and you're having Cooper. I don't think it's a bad one. We'll just look to see how he can be able to strengthen and make Leicester City, compete once again in the Premier League.
Well, that'll be the ones you can take on this edition of the program. We'll be back at 6 p.m. Nigerian time for Sports Extraordinary. Focus will be on the Premier League fixtures here, last game here in Nigeria. And of course, an incisive look at how the Dutch hope to dismantle their opponents at the Euro Championship. Remember, peace and unity are clearly pathways to progress. Always enjoy here on the Atlantic Television Network.